and subscribe. Otherwise, I might pay you guys a visit.
Right, so I'll pin this article in the comment section below, and if I remember, in the description as well, so you guys can have a little read of it yourself rather than me just troll through it and just read it out to you. Go have a read of it yourself. So within this one, and it's from Sky Sports, by the way, from when Dillian Whyte had a chat on the weekend with Soccer AM, and if you haven't had a chance to see that one, go do it, because didn't come across really well in that one. Now within this, he says that he is a risky fight for Anthony Joshua. Now, as we know, this will be a rematch, first of all, and second of all, that it's penciled in for April the 13th at Wembley Stadium if Deontay Wilder is still refusing to step up and go for undisputed. Now, we know that Wilder, he wants nothing to do with Dillian Whyte. He's frightened to death of him, and it does seem that seems to be the broad perspective across the heavyweight division. It really does. Nobody wants to fight Dillian Whyte. Why is that? It can only be for one reason, because they're all going to get paid well. So the only other reason could possibly be that they're frightened of him, because they know the kind of risk that he holds. He's unorthodox at times, and he hits with power. And not only that, he will trash you in the build up to this fight, in the press conference, behind the gloves and on social media, and he will try and belittle you any which way he can. Now, he didn't really do it too much with Joseph Parker. He did do it at times, but that's because Parker never said anything negative towards Dillian Whyte, other than, I believe I'm going to beat you and I'm going to stop you. So from that point of view, no. But with Anthony Joshua, Dillian Whyte, these guys have history, and I'll give you a brief overview of it. Dillian Whyte, when he finished his kickboxing career, he went into amateur for boxing, and his very first fight as an amateur at boxing was against Anthony Joshua, and he dropped Joshua in that fight and he beat him. Okay, and since then these guys have had like a bit of a war of words. They've both been saying things on social media or in the articles around about each other, and things have seemed to have escalated from then, and it all came to a crunch when Anthony Joshua versus Dillian Whyte happened a couple of years back in the pro game, when both these guys fought for the heavyweight British title, and it was a real grudge match. And for me, Dillian Whyte pretty much put Joshua on the pay-per-view map, because he sold that fight. He really did. He got people interested in that fight. And in the first round, it was pretty much all Joshua, and I honestly thought that Joshua was about to finish off Dillian Whyte in the first round. Dillian Whyte, he dug deep and he survived that round. At the end of it, them two kind of like kicked off, because Joshua hit him after the bell, and Dillian Whyte kind of like lost his marbles a bit and went after him. Round number 2 comes out, and it's kind of like even, and then Dillian Whyte catches Anthony Joshua, and Joshua's feet got smoked. Concrete built up in Joshua's feet where he just went rigid, and you could see that after the fight as well with Eddie Hearn. He looked stunned. He thought, you know what, my invincible guy may not actually be invincible, because Dillian Whyte gave us one hell of a scare. Now, at this time, Dillian Whyte, his shoulder was injured, and when he threw an overhand right, his shoulder popped and he couldn't throw it anymore with any kind of authority. He was in absolute agony. So of course, when he hurt Joshua, he couldn't finish him off. He couldn't place the punches. He was just swinging wildly, and Joshua managed to parry it and get through the rest of the round. Now, had he have composed himself and had his shoulder not have gone, who knows? We may have an Anthony Joshua with a 1 in the loss column at that point. We don't know. Of course, it's all speculation. Who knows? Maybe Joshua would have went on and beaten Dillian Whyte anyway, with or without the shoulder injury. We don't know. We can always just speculate. So these guys still don't like each other. They really don't. Contrary to what some may believe, they do have respect for each other, because they're both helping, doing their part, putting British boxing on the map, and they respect each other for that, and they wish each other all the best, and they always want each other to win their next fight, but ultimately they both want to have a fight. Now, in the professional ranks, it's 1-0 towards Joshua, but in both of their eyes, and it is both of Joshua and Dillian Whyte's eyes, it's 1-1. One because of the amateur and one because of the pro. So that's how it is. They want this third fight to tip the scales. Now, since that fight way back when, Dillian Whyte's got a new trainer, of course, and he has improved dramatically. He really, really has. The Dillian Whyte back then is not the Dillian Whyte today. So don't get it confused. So if these two do come together on April 13th at Wembley Stadium, don't be thinking that is the same Dillian Whyte who's stepping into the ring. It isn't. It really, really isn't. Now, Joshua has, of course, also improved. He's then gone on to become world champion, which happened to be his very next fight after Dillian Whyte when he beat Charles Martin. So, of course, he's improved himself. His popularity, everything about him has gone up tenfold. It really has. And you may kind of argue that maybe Joshua's performances, maybe it's because he's hitting the higher levels now of opposition where he's fighting elite after elite. Maybe his kind of level is kind of like at a peak now. Now, can it improve even more? I believe it can improve, but over the last couple of fights, he has kind of like flatlined on a couple of occasions with certain things that maybe he could have finished off an opponent, but he kind of lacked that killer instinct, or he was trying new things. I don't really know what it is. So it's an interesting fight. And yeah, I'm biased with British boxing, of course I am. And people think that I'm biased Matchroom, not at all. I'm biased British. And I'm even more biased when it comes to Dillian Whyte. Dillian Whyte, of course, was the one who gave me a bit of a bunk up on this channel to kind of like put my name out there. And of course, he's had like a few interviews on this channel and all this kind of stuff. So I'm always going to be biased towards Dillian Whyte. But if I was to try and take that hat off, the bias hat off, and look at it as a real fight, as in whoever wins, wins. Whoever loses, loses, okay? Dillian Whyte, for me, out of all the heavyweights currently, right now, Dillian Whyte is the one that could potentially dethrone Anthony Joshua. He's the one who could put the 1 in the loss column of Anthony Joshua today. Real talk. Real talk. For me, people might say, well, Deontay Wilder can. Now, Deontay Wilder can. He can beat Joshua. Of course he can. He's a heavyweight. I mean, any heavyweight can beat anybody. And when you've got the kind of brutal power that Deontay Wilder has, and let's be real, does anybody in the heavyweight division hit harder than Deontay Wilder? Probably not, to be fair. He has brutal strength. Okay, when he hits you, it's like being kicked by a mule. Okay, but Joshua hurts with both hands, as does Dillian Whyte. But if you put Joshua in there with Wilder, and if you put Dillian Whyte in there with Wilder, for me, both of these guys beat Wilder. They can avoid his right hand and counter him. Wilder doesn't like counter punches. He's not very good at it. And that's the truth of it. It's because of his lack of boxing ability. Now, Anthony Joshua is the better boxer, in my opinion, than Dillian Whyte. But Dillian Whyte has that, he can box, but he can just switch it at any point and just go ballistic and start throwing haymakers from left, right and centre. And this is the kind of problem that a lot of fighters don't want with Dillian Whyte. And for whatever bizarre reason, it's only Joshua who's willing to get in the ring with Dillian Whyte without any kind of, okay, how much are we getting? What's the split going to be? He doesn't care about that. Give me Dillian Whyte. That is Anthony Joshua's whole thing, and it's exactly the same with Dillian Whyte. Give me Joshua. While all these people like Wilder and everybody else saying, I want this amount and I want this kind of split and whatever it may be to fight Joshua, Dillian is, listen, you're going to pay me anyway, but more importantly, I want to knock that boy out. I just want to beat him, I want to hurt him, and I want to knock him out. So this is a real dangerous fight for Anthony Joshua. And as I said, if anybody out there is actually going to beat Joshua, I think on the form that's going on right now, it's Dillian Whyte. Now, of course, people look at Dillian Whyte's last performance against Joseph Parker. Now, bearing in mind, he done something to Joseph Parker that Anthony Joshua couldn't. He put Parker on the canvas twice. First time, okay, dubious, there was a head clash. Second time, there was no doubt about it. Again, that big left hook rocked Joseph Parker and he went down hard. Okay, and so Joseph Parker hit the canvas for the first time in his career, and Dillian Whyte did that. Anthony Joshua couldn't. But Joshua is very good at keeping at range. But how can you keep Dillian Whyte at range when his arms are phenomenally long? They really are. So it's an interesting one. It really is interesting. Now, most people would pick Joshua to beat Dillian Whyte. Fair enough. But ultimately on the night, especially if Joshua loses his calmness and his steady head, Dillian Whyte will just go for him. And if he hurts Joshua next time, he'll get Joshua out of there. It's as simple as that. But there again, who knows? If Joshua manages to take Dillian Whyte into the later rounds, then and Dillian gets tired again, it could all be over. Because again, as I said, a lot of people are looking back at Dillian Whyte's last performance against Joseph Parker, and for whatever reason, people seem to be remembering the 12th and final round. That's ridiculous. So either way, it is what it is. I agree that I think that Dillian Whyte is an absolute, real, dangerous risk for Anthony Joshua. That's just my opinion. And my opinion is he is the most dangerous fighter out there for Anthony Joshua and their styles. But that's my opinion. You drop me yours, of course. Have a little read of that article as well. Click that thumbs up, subscribe. Catch you all on the next video.